Hello, and welcome to Drop and Gimme 20 with Phil Rizdon. I am Phil Rizdon, and before we get started, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that annoying YouTube stuff. Also, if you have Apple Podcasts, make sure to give us a 5-star rating on the podcast. Maybe even give us a nice little review. Tell me a little bit about what you think about the show, as long as it's positive, because if it's negative, I will crumble. All right, now let's get started. It's good to see you guys. Sorry the episode's coming out so late. I had a bit of a technical problem. Basically, my computer got fucking soaked. There was a really harsh rainstorm in New York City last Wednesday actually, and I was at my show Pork Belly at Arrogant Swine. If you're in the city, come by. So I was at that show. I decided to bring my laptop with me in my brand new Swiss Gear backpack. Yeah, that's right. I got international backpack money, all right? Because I got that cash. No, that's not true. I'm just waiting for unemployment to come in. Anyway, yeah, so I put my laptop in my backpack, brought it with me to the show, and that is when it started like downpouring. Like I put it down at the show, it started just downpouring. The show's happening, so I'm shifting everything, moving everything inside, doing all this different shit, blah, 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 blah. 20 minutes later, I think to myself, while I'm watching one of my friends fucking kill on stage, shout out to Carmen Lagala, she did a really funny bit. So I'm watching one of my friends kill on stage, and I'm just thinking of this, I'm like, wait, where's my backpack? You know? And then I realized, I'm like, fuck, did someone steal it? My laptop's in there. Da, da, da. Fuck, did I leave it outside? I'm gonna go check outside. So it's pouring rain, like hurricane fucking rain. Bad torrential rain. I mean, the shit's coming down, up, sideways, doesn't fucking matter. You're just getting hit like bad, you know? Just one of those like, you ever see a sailor in a movie who's just like, the antagonist is the ocean? It was like one of those. Like, I felt like I should have been wearing like one of those Gordon's fisherman fucking like yellow suits, like that's like rubber ponchos and has like the yellow hat, with the yellow boots. Like I was fighting against the elements, and I'm looking all around this place through the mud and the puddles and the water, and I find my backpack there, and this thing is fucking soaked. Soaked. And you ever have something where it's just like, as soon as you see it, your heart just like drops. You know what I mean? A lot of, we all have that where it's just like, our human brain, just like as soon as you see a certain thing, you're just like, fuck. And that for me is my laptop. I mean, my laptop is my whole entire life. All I do is edit and shoot things and try to put out content for you beautiful people. And so my laptop was basically completely fucking fried, man. That thing looked like it was trying to race Michael Phelps, just fucking wet. Just wet, so wet, ridiculous how waterlogged this thing was. So basically, I had to try and send it out to somebody to see if it could get repaired, because I don't really have money to buy a new one. So I'm kind of just seeing what's good with that. Got sent to somebody to get repaired, and that's why I was kind of just like, and this happened to me like Wednesday night. I had to, a lot of different things happened. So that was my whole thing about like, when can I shoot the podcast? When can I shoot the podcast? That's still such a weird thing for me to say, but when can I shoot/record the podcast? So it had me a little bit behind. That's why you're getting this thing 2, maybe even 3 days late. I'm assuming I'm going to be putting this out on Thursday. So sorry about that, but everything's good now. So, next week's episode will be fine. All that stuff. Aside from my one prized possession being ruined, life's been actually pretty fucking good, guys. It's actually been pretty fucking solid. It's been really nice. Been listening to the Tyler, the Creator album. That shit is fucking fire. Call Me If You Get Lost. I don't know if you have listened to the album at all, but it's just incredible. It's just incredible from start to finish. I believe right now I was watching the other day, and it said that Tyler, the Creator actually has, is it 6 or 7 tracks from his album, or no, 6 or 7 tracks just in general in the Billboard top 10 or it might be the Billboard 100. Either way, it's a major, major accolade. And they're basically saying that, two of the songs are from other artists that he worked with, either producing or, rapping a little bit. But a majority of the songs that he has that are in the Billboards, like top 10 or top 100 or whatever the fuck, are off of his album, which is just incredible if you actually think about it, like how strong that actually is. I mean, that doesn't even happen for Drake, and he's the litmus test for what success is in hip hop, and not even just hip hop, in music in general. I mean, how rare does that ever happen? How rarely does that ever happen with him? It doesn't. And I love Drake. I think Drake is amazing, but it's just one of those things. I mean, I'm a big Kanye fan as well. People might call me a bit of a basic bitch. But I listen to both of those guys, and especially Kanye. I mean, as far as Tyler the Creator goes, he's way more in the Kanye wheelhouse than he is more in the Drake wheelhouse, I would say. But even with Kanye, most of his songs off of his albums aren't on the Billboard 100, I would say. They're not really getting played on the radio. Like 2 or 3 of the songs are, maybe even like just 2 of them are getting played on the radio, but it's nonstop. I mean, they're going to hit number 1 or whatever, but the fact that he has so many tracks, so many tracks, 6, maybe even 7, from his album on the fucking Billboard. I just want to say congrats to that dude. He obviously has figured something out. I just feel like I have to give him my love and appreciation, because he watches the show, obviously. He listens to the podcast all the time. He's been waiting for me to shout him out for a long time about his artistry. So, Tyler, you finally got me, all right? You twisted my arm, buddy. It's such a fucking good album, though. Jesus Christ. It's one of those things. He's such an interesting guy, musically. I think a lot of people think he's very interesting as a person. I think he is too, but at the same time, a lot of his personality, I personally think, is a lot of shock value. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a comedian. I talk about my dick and make stupid jokes and all that shit, mostly for shock value and to see where I can go artistically. So I'm right there with him in that sense. But I think the real interesting thing about him, truthfully, is his musical style. It's so beautiful, and it's so incredibly interesting the way he does things, where it's a lot of very, very old school soul R&B, kind of like tempos and like melodies and shit like that. But then he throws like really gritty bass on top of it. So he has some like really beautiful, almost like Isley Brothers like esque type stuff in the beginning of his songs usually, or maybe even right in the middle, out of nowhere. He does a lot of that type of stuff, and then all of a sudden just bang, and just the bass just hits you so heavy, and it's something really nice where it's like each individual way you could play his album or his songs, like none of them lose any like luster. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different songs where they're made to be played acoustically, and then if you play them electronically, it's good, and but it kind of takes a lot out of that thing. Not all the time, but sometimes it does do that. Especially if somebody who's a more electronic artist is more amateur in the way that they put together music. So there's that thing, and vice versa. There's a lot of electronic songs that people try to put acoustically, and a lot of times those actually do sound better when they're slowed down and broken down and played acoustically, but you're still losing a bit of it. With him, either way you play it, you're not losing anything at all. In fact, either way you play it, it almost sounds totally different yet the same. Like if you were to play, what's that song? Can I Get a Kiss? Can you make it last forever? See You Again. See You Again. That's off Flower Boy. Really good song, right? If you hear that electronically, that's an insanely like melodic kind of song or whatever. But if you hear that electronically, it's very sweet, it's very beautiful. The bass comes in, boom, it hits you. You're jumping around, you're dancing, and it's very nice. It has an emotional spectrum to it, you know. But if you also play that, you take that song, you play it on piano, it becomes a whole nother level of like sincerity, and it just becomes kind of deeper. Even when you put the bass back in, but you're playing it on piano, I think there's a whole nother element to it. And also too, I think with his stuff, what I find to be really, really interesting is it really, like, every song really does have an emotional spectrum. I think, again, with the softness and then putting in the bass, I think that is who he is. And he's putting who he is in every song and in every album. He has this, like, this grittiness, Yonkers. He has the gravelly voice. Oh, nigga, man, that's just crazy, blah, blah. Fuck you, bitch. He has the young Odd Future gravelly voice, rugged, kind of like we're the new Wu-Tang / like Slim Shady group. Like, he has that type of element to him as a whole, no matter what he does. But then also, if you ever see him perform, or if you ever watch interviews with him, he definitely has like a kindness and a sweetness and kind of a sincerity to him, and a real vulnerability that I think he even downplays because he doesn't want to show it too much, which is why his song Wilshire was so nice to hear. Even though I've been the other guy in the Wilshire song, and I was like, I want to strangle you right now. But yeah, great album. I would say go listen to it if you can. If you're into hip hop music, definitely go listen to it. If you're not into hip hop music, this is an album you need to listen to. I think he's definitely, again, I've compared him to Kanye. I think he's in that element of Kanye West too, where Kanye isn't just for hip hop fans. Kanye isn't just for black people or even just for white people. Kanye is for music fans. There are people, I've had some of my friends' dads who, like, since we were growing up, would be like, oh, what song is this? Fucking like Biggie? You know what I mean? And all this, that, and the third. And I remember when real music was played and all that shit. But you know what? You put on some Kanye and even if they don't like it, they can understand it because there's a certain level of just like, I don't know, like music theory that it just follows, or maybe even that it dismantles, that makes people fall in love with it or at least respect it. And I don't know where what the actual truth of that is musically, because I don't know that much about music theory, and I don't have that much knowledge of music aside from what I like to listen to and what I put out there. But yeah, I think Tyler, the Creator, is going in that Kanye route where it's just, I just can't wait to see what else he puts out. I can't wait to see what else he puts out. I think he's just so immensely talented. And enough of me giving, one of the greatest rappers and producers to live a blowjob. How about that? I'm done. I'm done blowing Tyler, the Creator. Let's talk about some real shit. Let's talk about race stuff. Hey, hello. It's time for that segment. Let's bring in the old sign. Is it racist? I just did that as an improv. I don't think I'll actually put in a sign. I might. Who knows? Yeah, let's talk about Rachel Nichols. I don't know if you guys heard about this whole thing. Rachel Nichols. But basically, she's like she's an ESPN reporter, NBA reporter, all that type of stuff. And recently, a video or like a audio recording of hers got leaked about how this one woman, Maria Tyler something. It's like she's one of those people with three names. You know what I mean? Maria Tyler or whatever is basically going to be replacing her as the on-court correspondent for the NBA Finals. And Rachel starts saying all this shit, saying like, hey, like, I get if you want to put her down here because of all the, lack of diversity and everything. But, replace somebody else. Don't replace me. And here's the thing. Uh, I agree with what she's saying. I completely hate how she said it, and I think a lot of times people can get stuck in their own ego and emotions. Especially when it comes to entertainment. Even being a newscaster, that's still the entertainment world and what that means, and it's always this constant climb of other people getting shine. And don't get me wrong, all businesses have this. You could be a fucking dentist, and it's a similar thing. But I think it's just something about having your face on TV. And so many people, when you want to be on TV, in any way, shape, or form, there's a lot of people that all they do is naysay you. Like even your fucking family. Like they're just like, why would you do that? Like that's kind of dumb. Like like if you say I want to run a Fortune 500 company one day, no one's gonna be like you're an idiot for thinking you could do that. They will tell you you're an idiot for thinking you could host the news at 10. So I understand why she's so in a way to steal white girl terminology, aggro. I understand why she's so fucking being all fucking aggro about this shit. But at the same time, she has to know what she said was wrong, because she was simply implying that all they were doing it for was diversity. Even if that's all they were doing it for, that doesn't mean that that woman didn't work hard, and that she hasn't been working just as hard as Rachel Nichols, or 10 times harder. And that's the rough part. It's sad to see that a lot of times, people who should be working together get pulled apart because of the whole crabs in a barrel mentality. And that's exactly what's happening. I think basically what Rachel was saying of the whole, give Maria a job, just not mine, is fine in a way. I do think it's fine. But the whole thing of implying the diversity shit and everything, regardless if it's true, it's not true for her. It's not true for Maria. Like, she was the one working actually extra hard, and it's not true for her. And that would piss me off, and I'm sure that pisses her off, to hear this leaked out. Everybody's talking about Rachel Nichols. What about her? And how angry she must be for everything she's going through. And you got to think about it. This woman, Rachel Nichols, probably smiled in her face tons of times. And to hear that, smiled in her face, probably said, women, we need to stick together. Sisters, we need to be here. Like, you know what I mean? Making jokes about the guys and how dumb and idiotic the men are and all that shit. And then she hears this, and all of that camaraderie goes away. And she realizes that she's been alone. And I think that is so much more hurtful and so much more impactful to this woman, than just like, what's Rachel up to and how does she feel and she should be shamed. It's like, no, she should be shamed. Internet shaming, I think, is totally fucking corny. I don't really think she should be like shamed and sent out, whatever. Whatever ESPN wants to do with her is that what they want to do with her. Don't write her shit on fucking, the internet or anything like that. But instead of shaming Rachel Nichols, I think more people need to be uplifting this other woman. I think that's really what needs to happen. I wish that could happen a lot more with other issues too. Maybe we should do that more. Stop shaming the perpetrator, lift up the survivor or the victim. Because a lot of times too, when it comes to the stuff like this, I mean, they had cold hard evidence, but a lot of times stuff comes anonymously and shit, and it just doesn't work out. And what are we doing here? We're gonna break someone mentally when we could be making somebody else feel better. Especially if you're trying to get somebody out of a certain business, whether it's someone who's inappropriate racially, someone who's inappropriate sexually, or whatever, or just plain old inappropriate. One of the trifecta. Get them out, absolutely, but the people that they've hurt or whatever, make them feel good. And I don't necessarily think that always comes out when a lot of this internet, Twitter, shaming stuff goes on. And I feel like, what does that say about us as a whole society? In a way, because it's just like, regardless, I don't know, any accusation that comes out about anybody across the spectrum of being offensive whether it's a bad joke or, some sort of sexual accusation or whatever. It's like, whatever the perpetrator did, you weren't there, you didn't see it, you didn't hear it, and there's no real record of it. So you can't really go around shitting on them for something that you don't fully know actually exists. I think it's just better for you to take care of the people who they may have hurt. And it doesn't say very much that, like, once you have any sort of, thought that somebody might have wronged somebody else, you start wronging the person that wronged them, rather than making them feel good about who they are. Yeah, so long story short, guys, lift people up, encourage them, give a shit. I can't believe I'm already at like 21 minutes. This has to be the fucking, like, I've only talked about 2 things. Oh my God. Yeah, dude. Like, stop shaming people. Just lift people up instead. Almost like, with that, Sha'Carri Richardson deal, right? That's the whole thing, but everybody's shaming the Olympics, when they should just plain old be making her feel better. You don't have to do one or the other. You can kind of either do, you can just, I don't know. You just don't have to fill your whole lives with negativity just because somebody's been hurt. You can just fill your life with positivity, feeding it to them. This Sha'Carri Richardson thing, I think there's a lot of people who are just shitting on the Olympics because of it. And truthfully, it's not their fault. Listen, and this is coming from a guy who smokes weed every fucking day, and cannot run, and all that type of stuff. I'm not very athletic. I smoke weed all the time. I love smoking weed. I've failed a few drug tests in my day, so I know how that feels. But at the same time, when I failed those drug tests and they said that I couldn't do whatever I was trying to do because I failed that drug test, I did accept it, simply because I had failed. And in the whole Sha'Carri Richardson thing, I feel like we're coddling people too much. That's a little weird, because it's just like, she knew the choice she made at the end of the day. I'm not saying that this woman isn't a tremendous athlete and everything, and how people were shitting on her before because she has long nails and, her hair's dyed and all that shit. Like, that's corny as fuck. I'm not saying any of those people are right. Those people are fucking lame, and most of them are possibly either closeted or very, very open racists, who shit on somebody, simply a black woman, simply on her appearance that doesn't suit them and how they think she should look. But at the same time, you don't smoke weed after you qualified for the fucking Olympics and they're going to be drug testing you. She's also an athlete too. I think a lot of people, I think they're just sympathizing because they're just like, weed should be legal and it's dumb that it's not, so fuck this. And you're absolutely fucking right. But also too, she's been an athlete for she's 21, so she's probably been an athlete for at least like 12 years, maybe more, depending on if she, started in high school or whatever the fuck happened, so she knows what drug tests are and she has been through them before. And to act as if she hasn't and she doesn't know what the consequences are it's idiotic. And also too, it doesn't really help somebody grow up. And that's the whole thing that really sucks about this. Me and my friend were talking about it, and, people even tried to like bring racism into it and everything with her. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just like, there was a rule. There's a concrete rule. It's not just like, I don't know, like, she didn't come in for Olympic curfew or something on the campus. It's like, no, this is a clear-cut, severe rule here that we have, and you didn't follow it, and now you can't do this. And it just sucks for her because she's talking about like, oh, I'll see everybody in the world championships. And it's like, dude, you're not realizing this. Like, no one cares about the world championships. We all care about the Olympics. That's how you get your endorsements. That's how you do all this stuff. And who knows what happens in the next 4 years. You could get injured. You could be not as fast, when you're 25. I know it sounds ridiculous because she's only going to be 25, but you never know. You just never know. And, it really sucks. It's a really bad situation. I do think it was idiotic of her to do that, regardless of what happened in her life. I heard that her mom did die, but it's not the Olympics' fault that that happened. It's not like the Olympics killed her mom and then threw a bag of weed on her bed as a plant to see if she would, succumb to these vices. Things happen, the world happens, and you still have to triumph and go through those things. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame, and I do feel bad for her because me, I'm 29 now. I'm about to become 30, and I think most people about my age or older, or even 25 going on, we all have a moment or two where we've made a mistake in our life, and we still look back like, why did I do that? Like, you did something, you said something, whatever, and you're just like, why the fuck did I do that? And that's gonna be hers. Everybody has one. Every adult has one. One or two, and talking to me, I have quite a few. But every adult has one, and it's gonna happen for her. And I just, I feel bad. I feel bad because she's never gonna forget this. But that being said, she is still young, so hopefully she can come back when she is, 25 or whatever, and I hope she kills it. I'm gonna be standing there right with a fucking poster right there, cheering her on. I think she's great, and I think she's amazing. And on that note, I'm gonna have to end the podcast, guys, because I'm at like 27 minutes, and my DSLR camera only films to 30 minutes, I believe. So we're gonna have to cut this one, not really short, because it's possibly the longest one I've ever done. But I just want to say thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe on YouTube. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, subscribe, leave 5 stars, leave a review. This is how I build this show. So sorry for having this show come out late. And thanks. This has been Drop and Gimme 20 with Phil Rizdon. I am Phil Rizdon. Have a good one. See you later.